Ben. How you doing, mate?
I'm all good, man. You?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Thanks for coming on. I know you're busy with your talk sport stuff. How you getting on with your media work?
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. Obviously, it's not something I really thought about when I was playing, but as you obviously get to the end and you start thinking about what's going to be next. I just kind of fell into it, and I quite took a liking to it. I enjoyed it, and in the end, I said, you know what? Okay, it's going pretty well. I'm getting opportunities here and there. So I just dedicated myself to it, and yeah, I've been doing it ever since. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's good. It looks like the public are really taking to you on the radio as well, especially talk sport stuff. I tell you, mate, I'm about to unfollow a few pages on social media because you're just everywhere at the moment. Everywhere.
What? It's good, and listen, I really enjoy what I do. I mean, it's different. What I will say about it is anyone who's obviously coming out of retirement now and thinks to themselves, right, I'm just going to go straight into media. It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to put time in. There's things you've got to learn. Like, it's a difficult job. Do you know what I mean? There's guys who I played with who I've got to then criticise. That's hard. But as well.
Find out how hard, like talking about your ex like colleagues.
Yeah.
Also, you played with a lot of players from your England days as well and stuff. So is it hard to form a bad opinion if you say so?
Yeah, listen, it is difficult because you're right. Some of these guys you regard as friends, but you have to kind of say, listen, I've got to do it. Do you know what I mean? You look at the guys, the one thing everybody hates is watching a pundit or someone who's on TV who doesn't have an opinion. Do you know what I mean? Anyone could just go, do you know what I mean? You could just go, yeah, he was okay. Yeah, it was okay. You can't do that. You've got to be every time opinion. And it is tough. I've had managers call me up. I spoke about Neil Lennon, about I'd rather play for Steven Gerrard because he's a more up-and-coming manager. This was at the start of this season. I said, he's a bit old school to me. Phone me up.
Neil Lennon phone you up?
Phone me up.
What do you mean? What did he say? They're abusing you.
He just went, Darren, I wanted to just go over some of the comments that you made about me. I'm not quite happy with this. And that was honestly, that was about, I just started doing a magazine column, and that was my first ever edition of this magazine column where I've said what I said, and straight away out the back, bang, Neil Lennon's on the phone. I want you to go through these points with me. What did you mean by this? And all this.
Just on the blower. Just sound happy.
Straight away.
I'm happy with you.
Straight away.
So what did you say then? Like, obviously you said for play for Steve Gerrard. That must have hurt him.
I said that. I said in the context of where the question was, it was like, right, who would you rather play for, Steven Gerrard or Neil Lennon? And my point was, I played with Steven Gerrard. I knew Steven Gerrard. He was a young up-and-coming manager. This is his first season. So that was why I said, yeah, I'd rather play for Steven Gerrard. I said, Neil Lennon's more of an old-school type manager. And when I said old school, I didn't mean his tactics or the way he plays. I'm talking about he's been managing a lot longer.
Yeah.
But obviously, he just wasn't happy, man. Wasn't happy.
To say you're wise, I wouldn't have liked Stevie Gerrard giving you a call.
Exactly.
I'd rather Lennon call you. Oh, that's funny as. Anyway, yeah, it sounded I was over in England over Christmas and heard you on TalkSport, mate. Yeah, you really come across really well, and your opinions are spot on. So good work, mate, and keep it up. Just on that side, are you loving being able to watch more games? And do you feel like now, obviously, your career's finished, your playing career's finished, that like you can analyse the game better? Obviously, you've been part of England setup and over 150 Premier League games, so you're in a better place now to actually analyse game as opposed to when you were playing. You just like you kind of just like get on with it and like go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Since I've stopped playing, I've started doing this type of work. I've stopped watching games as a fan. Do you know what I mean? You now, every time you watch a game, you're watching it, analysing it. So you never once now do you go, right, let me just sit back and enjoy this game and really like take it in and just watch it from a fan, not really paying much attention to it, just enjoy it. Now, every game I watch, Championship, whatever level it is, every time I'm watching it now, I'm having to analyse it because they might ask me the next day or I might get a text message on my phone saying, D, is it possible you can come on in a couple of hours just to discuss about what this game, do you know what I mean? So now I wouldn't say the enjoyment's been taken out of it because it hasn't, because I still love what I do and stuff like that. But as I said, you can't just now watch it and just sit back and go, watching, right, where does the centre forwards move? Yeah. What shape are they playing? Are they sitting in? Are they attacking? Are they open? Do you know what I mean? It's honestly so many different things that are going through my head, and you kind of learn to deal with it. So it's honestly completely different. Being this side of the fence, to actually playing. When I played in hospital, he didn't really analyse anything. He'd go, right, I've got a game the next day. Okay, who's their back for? I don't know, whoever it was. All right, I've got to do this. Whereas now you go, right back. What did he do well? Centre backs, left back. Honestly, it's just completely different. You find yourself like being an analyst rather than just like a fan.
You taking notes? Because I'm like obviously doing this little bit of interviewing here, taking notes on you. It's taken me like 2 weeks to write down notes.
Listen, you have to. I mean, even now, every time, even when I'm going on the show, and even if I've watched the game, like, or as I'm on a show, say I'm doing Talk Sport Breakfast or whatever I'm doing, if we've got a guest on, as the guest's talking, I'm still writing down points, what he's doing, what he said, because afterwards I want to go, well, he said this. It's like the other couple of days ago, I interviewed Jordan Henderson for TalkSport, and it was just after he won the Football Writers Award and all that. And even as he's talking, even though I know Jordan, I played with Jordan. Do you know what I mean? I'm still writing down notes, like points that he said. Do you know what I mean? Just to go, remember, because you can't. It's impossible for you to remember everything that they say. Yeah. There's going to be little things that people forget. So that's when people ask me about media stuff and tips and stuff. The biggest thing I always say is make sure you're really well informed, because as well, when you're in this kind of industry, people will pick up on anything. You make one little mistake and they're straight on you.
And remember as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And just on Henderson there, winning the Player of the Year, do you think warranted, or I know you're his mate and stuff. So. Yeah. You think so?
I think so. I know you probably don't. Knowing me knowing you, I know.
You know, I've played the game, so like I understand his attributes and what he brings to the team, and like listen, he's Premier League winner, won Champions League last year, and you know he's had a good season. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it's a bit. Like you always want to see the players get the Player of the Year. You know, someone who's banged in 30 goals, or you know, or De Bruyne who's got 20 assists, 15 goals, where he's got. You want those kind of players to get it. So, but I understand why he's got it. Obviously.
Do you know, I knew that you'd think someone like a De Bruyne. Do you know what I
mean? But we said before the interview, we talked about like, I think the Premiership this year has been average and probably poor. So, but like with De Bruyne, I think it was stop and start with De Bruyne. He wasn't like consistent over the whole season. Yeah, so that's why I don't think he got it. Even though he eventually did end up with 13 goals and 20 assists. So obviously had a great season. But with Henderson, I think he's played every game. But he's done well. Liverpool won the league by 18 points. So it was well deserved. But I don't know.
Do you know what it is?
Just the purists. I want to see like the goal scorers and the people who fans pay money to come see win those kind of awards. But do
you know what it is with Jordan, because he's had injuries, and when he was out, they struggled. They lost their first game when he wasn't playing. Then at the end of the season after lockdown, they struggled a bit. But I think it had to be him, because obviously leader, he did really well, important goals, carried the team at times. But I think with De Bruyne, he's been fantastic, as you said, 20 assists. But as good as he's been, I just don't think you can give it to someone when they're 18 points behind the leaders. Do you know what I mean? Because there was obviously we know Liverpool, since they won the league, took the foot off the gas. Because if it had gone right to the white, if it kept going and going and going relentless, at one stage it was 23 points. Now, how could you give it to somebody who's 23 points behind? Do you know what I mean? You just can't do that.
Yeah, fair shout. Yeah, Pep wasn't happy, wasn't he? He said Liverpool always get. So they won the league last year, and he said, "Who got it last year? Salah."
Salah, yeah. No, it wasn't Salah. No, it wasn't Salah last year. Van Dijk, but then Van Dijk was the best defender in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all good, mate. All right, let's get started on your playing career, mate. A while ago now, let's go back to the old days, Ipswich Town. Where it all started. I was just writing my notes down, man. I remember a story about when we used to get picked up from the buses picked up from Cambridge, and we're 14, 15, and you'd be on there already. And I remember one day, like used to come on the bus, you used to have a new pair of night boots and a new pair of night trainers every week, every Saturday. Bus come, I'd be like, "What's going on here?" And I spoke to you. I was like, "Darren, where are you getting all these boots from?" He's like, "I'm sponsored." And you were 15 at the time. And I was thinking, "You're sponsored by Nike? No way!" And like obviously the first kid, the youngster I knew who was sponsored by Nike. It's good for me because you used to give me free boots. But like that hype around you, I suppose you were sponsored by Nike at 15 and you were playing England schoolboys. Did you feel pressure at a young age or did you just focus solely on making it and concentrating on your game?
Well, like you obviously you knew me. Do you know what I mean? You knew me really well from when I was young. and you kind of know that pressure didn't really phase me when I was that age. Do you know what I mean? You knew me. I was just like laughing and joking the whole time. Got on with it. Yeah, when it was time to obviously train properly, I'd always train. I was always there early. I'd always be there after training. Do you know what I mean? I was always doing my extra stuff. But as far as pressure goes, I honestly didn't start feeling pressure till I was about 16, 17, when I was on the verge of getting in the first team. That's when I started to, where a lot of obviously expectation was put on me, like, oh, listen, D, like, you know what I mean? All the first team were like, D, you're going to be playing in the first team. You're going to have a bright future in the game and all this. But before that, when we, as you said there, we're 14, 15 and that, I just played football because you always love it. But you think, fun, do you know what I mean? Like, you think, right, you play football with your friends. Let's go and play, I don't know, Chelsea tomorrow. Let's go and beat Chelsea. Or we've got Millwall next week. Let's go and beat, do you know what I mean? There wasn't really pressure on it. It's obviously, when I look back now at the whole process, you start thinking, well, if I'd have done that differently or this differently, it might not have worked out as well as it did. But because obviously, as you said, I was focused on that. I had good people around me, and it was quite a good environment, as you said there. Like nowadays, would you put your kids on a bus to go travel 60 miles away? You wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? You just think, I ain't sure about this. But back then, it was kind of the norm. Do you know what I mean? Our parents were on the bus. My mum would put me on the bus at St Ives. It'd drive from St Ives, it'd stop at Cambridge. You and Ercan would get on the bus. It'd go to the next stop. Do you know what I mean? Just keep going and going and going. So I think all these things kind of played its part in obviously helping me and turning me into the player that obviously ultimately I became.
Yeah, you just said you talked about the environment. Do you think, like, obviously that was a lot down to Ipswich and the way they handled their youngsters, and obviously knew they had a potentially great player in yourself on their books, but still that environment they maintained and kept you kind of grounded and made it fun as well, like you said. So it wasn't that that pressure to actually go on and like Darren, you're our best youngster. You're gonna make it. Put that kind of pressure on you. It's a good environment to be at, especially at Ipswich Town.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as I said, because there were so many good youngsters around the same age as me. Do you know what I mean? Especially in my age group, in your age group, even a couple in the year above as well. That obviously, ultimately, I'm trying to think any of the ones in the year above me. I don't think anyone made it to a decent level. To be honest, anyone in the year above me. And there was a few good players. That
probably kind of helped as well because you played the FA Youth Cup, and you're playing all your age playing the year above, weren't they? Because there's no one in the year above. Is that the Arsenal game? Did you play the Arsenal in the final?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and you're right. That kind of helped. But I think you're right in what you said there. Is that I think a lot of it, because they didn't put that much pressure on us, it was like, right, we don't care how well you're doing, you're still not good enough. You're not good enough. Do you know what I mean? You got to improve. Like Brian Clew, people like him on our cases the whole time. Like Malcolm Moore, all these type of guys. Colin Suggett. These guys are obviously always on us. Do you know what I mean? It was like, all right. But I think it's because there were so many of us that were talented, and obviously a few of us came from like the Cambridgeshire area. A few of us, it was like little groups. When we all came together, we was all kind of pulling in the same direction, if that kind of makes sense. So for me, it was, I always say to kids, it was a perfect environment for me going to Ipswich Town because they just obviously treat their youngsters properly. The facilities were the best, one of the best I've ever played as regards to pitches, everything immaculate. So for me, it's definitely a place where I think, you know what, I couldn't have wished for better coaches and a better environment and a better set of guys around me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, great environment to learn your trade as a kid.
Even though I came from London and moved to Huntingdon, it's even things like me coming back and me, you, and Ercan, or me, you, Mercan, and Emmanuel all going out together. Do you know what I mean? Even though I'm not from Cambridge, we're still from. Do you know what I mean? We're still, and I think all these things play a massive part.
Yeah, definitely. You've been back to Ipswich?
Do you know what? The last time I went back to Ipswich was probably, I'd say maybe 10 years ago.
Mate, I've been back since I left, 2005 or 6, I think it was.
And I think the only reason I went back is because my cousin he met a girl there and he married a girl there, so obviously he used to go back there. So I used to go and see them. But other than that, and a few times I've been back, to be fair, to play. I played against Ipswich, but as far as actually going back there on a social, mate, not for about 10 years. It's not longer. Probably longer than that.
Yeah. Well, mate. So we're going to your debut. Are you 17 or 16? 17.
I think. See, I can't quite remember. I want to say I played in pre-season at 16, and then played in the thing at 17.
That was the Premiership days. 16.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Do you remember the week before the week leading up to your debut, and like did did you know you're going to be involved? Did George Burley pull you aside and kind of say be ready, or was it just a surprise?
Do you know what it was? It was that. So I was obviously playing that reserve league, and I was scoring goals for fun for the reserves. And I remember who was the goalkeeper coach?
Malcolm Webster.
Malcolm Webster. He obviously I travelled a lot to Ipswich with him quite a lot because he lived in St Ives, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he kept saying to me, "Listen, D, like you're close. Like I was scoring goals every week for the reserve, 2s, 3s, 2s. Do you know what I mean?" And he was like, "You're close." And I remember George Burley saying to me, "You're close. Like I want to put you in there. I'm not sure about the environment yet, but I'm putting you in there because at the time, the season before, they'd finished 5th. Everything they was flying. This season now, they were struggling." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was like,
it was the second season in the Prem, wasn't it?
Second.
Right. Yeah. I was struggling. Yeah.
We were struggling. Obviously, you had the Europa League to deal with, or the UEFA Cup, I think it was called back then.
UEFA Cup, then, yeah.
UEFA Cup and the league. So he was like, "You're coming," but then it got to a point where I was scoring that many goals. He was like, "Listen, I'm just going to throw you in." And I think I made my debut against Helsingborg in the Europa.
I was going to say it was in the Europa League your debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the Europa. And I remember I came on. I remember I had a chance and the keeper saved it. But I remember I did okay. I thought, okay. And then I think a few weeks later, I think I scored my first goal against Newcastle away.
Massive.
I can remember, massive.
Was that space of 2 weeks, wasn't it? So you made debut in the UEFA Cup, the Europa League, and then 2 weeks later you scored your first Premier League goal against Newcastle. You were 17 at the time.
17, and it's mad because
for those 2 weeks, how was that? Must be mental.
It was crazy because it was made my debut in the UEFA Cup, scored my first goal against Newcastle in the League Cup, then a few weeks later scored my first Premier League goal against Middlesbrough. It was like the Newcastle one was a bit like they were 4-0 down at the time, Ipswich. And I remember George Burley turning around. Obviously, the team was playing poorly, awful. And I remember him turning around and going to me, "Go on, D, go and go and have fun." And I remember Jamie Clapham poked the ball through to me, and I remember I just put the burners on.
Who was the defence? Who was that against? Dabizas and them lot.
Dabizas and Distan.
Distan is beast, fair.
Beast. And I remember blasting, and I just remember getting my toe on, and it's flying through into the corner. And I remember running and getting the ball out the net. But one thing I could always remember about that game is afterwards, even though they'd been pumped, George Burley kind of made the point in the change room, and the players were like, "Listen, you've got a 17-year-old kid here who's come on, played with no fear, got his goal, brilliant." And all the rest of the players said, "D, brilliant, so happy for you." And honestly, it's a day I'll never forget. But listen, them days there, travelling with the first team at 16, 17, seeing some of the best players about. Do you know what I mean? Like we played Chelsea one week, you see Zola. We played Man United, you see Beckham, Van Nistelrooy. Liverpool, you got like
legend.
Legends.
Gerrard.
You know what I mean?
Gerrard.
Morientes, these guys, you're thinking, bloody hell, like, do you know what I mean? It was a bit surreal, but as I said, that season there was arguably one of that kind of not happiest, but just it was a real eye opener seeing the players traveling on the buses, obviously staying in hotels, flying the planes to the. Do you know what I mean? It was just completely different.
You mentioned that you put the burners on against Dabizas and Distan. Just a quick question: who was there anyone in an Ipswich youth team who beat in a race?
No, there wasn't. And stop saying it. Listen,
mate.
Me and you had this debate for the longest time about. Do you remember when we had a race in McDonald's car park?
Remember? Get back my shoes on. I need your boots on, mate. I need my boots on. Pick my boots, my full boots. McDonald's car. Those are days. Yeah. So you trained with the first team. When you first started training there, did you feel intimidated, or did you just go in like you said, full of confidence? Because I know you had players like Jim McGilton, and then if you didn't give him the ball, he'd just be barking at you for 5 minutes, shouting and screaming at you, "Give me the ball next time! Give me the ball!" And then you got Big Herman Hardison just going through people in training. Were you intimidated, or you just kind of get on gone with it?
Do you know what? I was at first a little bit, but then people like Matt Holland, Big Herman, Marcus Stewart, these guys kind of helped me out. Do you know what I mean? These guys helped me out and were like, "Oh, don't be intimidated. You're good enough. You're good enough." So these guys really, really helped me. So as far as intimidation, you're right about Jim. If I didn't give Jim the ball as a kid, he's on my case.
Screaming.
And do you know what? I've always thought to myself, if I'd have played with Jim later on, when I was say about 25, 26, and he was barking at me then, would I have just took it? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? I'll probably give it back to him. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was that age, you know, when you're a kid and you got to have respect for senior players, like you wouldn't say anything back. But I think the game's changed now. You say something to kids these days, they just come back with retaliation. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. You're probably right, but you're right. But back then, intimidation wasn't really the question, but it was more
respect.
Just about respect for the elder. Like, obviously, they don't do these things anymore. Like when I roomed with Andy Marshall, he used to turn the lights off at 9 o'clock. I couldn't do anything. Make all the coffees on the make all the coffees on the first team coach. You know what I mean? Obviously, by the time it got to my age, I think cleaning boots had gone out the window. But it was like going to get first team's lunch, singing songs. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like these things don't happen now.
No. I remember a story about Big Herman. I was walking down the corridor in the morning, going to get my training kit, and he's walking towards me. I'm like, "Morning, Herman," and he just gives me the biggest punch in my stomach, takes all the wind out of me, and he goes, "Morning." I'm like, couldn't breathe for like 5 minutes. Just punch me. But like you said, that was their way of like interacting with the youth team, and like I know if they did it these days, you'd be arrested, you'd be sacked or arrested. These days,
exactly, and that's where a little bit it's kind of gone. It's because you're right, and that was Big Herman. I played with Big Herman at Ipswich and Charlton. I was at Charlton, main man, scoring all these goals, and he was the exact same. Like I'd walk past him. It got to a point though where I'd be walking in the hallway, I'd see Herman coming. I just turn around and walk the other way.
Go the way, yeah. I need this morning. He used to rescue as well.
Yeah.
I remember once.
Yeah.
I remember once he had a training game. Remember the big nets behind the goals.
Yeah.
It was me, Erkan, and I think Chris Hogg, and we were and Herman. I don't know what we were doing. We were playing. We were shooting or something random. And Erkan said something to him, and he just picked Turks up to us and threw him into the net. Like he saw a ragdoll, picked him up and just threw him straight into the net. Gone everywhere. Oh, he was mental. He was mental.
Honestly, he's but he was a good guy though. Real good guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a good guy. Back to the career. So Ipswich get relegated that year. Do you feel that helped you in your career? Because obviously the next year in the Championship, you were an integral key part of the squad for that season, especially at a young age. So do you think that relegation kind of helped you in your career?
You could say so. I mean, you never know what would have happened.
You never know what happened.
Premier League, and I might continue playing next season. My development might show up even more. But as far as getting relegated, it was a horrible situation. But I knew what was coming the following season because I knew I was on the verge of the first team. I was in and out of the first team in the Premier League, so I knew full well. By the time we got relegated to the Championship, I remember coming back the following season. I just remember I can't remember if it was Brian Clough or it might have been Ian Smith. Remember Ian Smith?
Yeah.
The coach. It was either one of them that were like, get ready. You know what's coming next season. You know you're not going to be with us next season. So make sure you're ready to go next season. And I was. Do you know what I mean? Me and Ambrose were both ready. Day one against Walsall, first game of the season. We were both ready. Do you know what I mean? And I think it does play a big part because I get it. When you're in the Premier League, clubs are always like, for whatever reason, even back then, they were a bit like, right, we're in the Premier League, we need to buy. Do you know what I mean? Rather than let's build within, let's buy this player, let's buy that player. Do you know what I mean? Especially in a position like centre forward, where Marcus Stewart obviously he'd been injured and things like that. But I think it did help me. It did help me because straight away for next season, I was playing all the time.
Yeah, and obviously you had a great season that season. You scored 18 league goals. Had a great year. You signed the contracts the summer after. Was there any interest? You're obviously young, 18 years old, Championship, scored 18 goals. Before you signed a contract, was there interest from elsewhere, or did you just solely concentrate on Ipswich?
Do you know what? I couldn't even tell you. If there was, I didn't even. I wouldn't have even known because they were so good at just obviously keeping that stuff quiet. If you think about it back then as well, the only way you were going to hear a rumour about that was from a newspaper or TV. Now it's social media. It's everywhere.
Yeah. There's no vicious rumours swirling online. It's just all paid for. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that kind of helped me as well because if there had been social media back then, and I'm playing really well, and you know what it's like, and you read all this stuff. If you're a young kid, you can't help but believe the hype.
Yeah.
So you couldn't help it. So I'd have been like every 2 seconds. Oh, wow, I've been with this person.
How do I play? Yeah. What did he say? Do you think that affects players like this day and age? Obviously, like you said, we didn't have it when we were getting in the team.
I think there was probably a transition period where it probably did affect players, but I think because it's so normal now, I don't think it does. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's obviously, I think when social media was first coming in, and then it was like about maybe a 6-7 year period where it was becoming really, really popular, I think it would have started affecting players. But now it's just the norm. Do you know what I mean? You're in the youth team, you've got Instagram. Do you know what I mean? It's the normal. So it's that part of everyday life. So back then, though, that definitely played a part and helped me because, as I said, if people were interested, I would have never known about it because I couldn't read it anywhere.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So you stayed at Ipswich. You played 2 more seasons in the Championship, continued banging goals in. I think West Ham beat you twice in the playoffs, didn't they?
Yeah, killed us, yeah. I spoke about it. Killed me twice. I mean, as I said, because I remember the last year, I was linked to go to Everton and Manchester City the year before I left. And obviously, I wanted to be in the Premier League now. I always look at that, say, Dean Ashton. He was kind of like, at Crewe, he got a move the year before me. So I'm thinking, right, he's already in the Premier League. I need to, because me and him played the under 21 together.
Right.
So I was like, I need to get to the Premier League. So he was like, however you can get there, you need to get there because it's so much better than the champ. And I was like, okay. So I said to Joe Royal at the time, listen, I want to play in the Premier League. I feel like my performances warrant me being in the Premier League. So I'm going to give you guys 1 more year. And if we get promoted in that last year, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. So obviously, as you said there, I scored 20 goals in my last season. Me and Shefke, absolutely torturing teams. Get to the end, meet West Ham again, losing the playoffs. And I said to Joe Royal, listen, to be fair to Joe, he was good. He said, listen, D, like, you've given us everything. You deserve it. And obviously, I had a meeting with Alan Kirbishley. Ended up going on to Charlton.
Charlton, yeah. And we got at that point, obviously you said if Ipswich would have gone up, you'd have stayed with them in the Premier League. So like losing that playoff semi, was that obviously a double whammy or even more heartbreaking because you obviously had to leave Ipswich to, the club you've been at for what, 5 years now?
Yeah, it was. It was hard. It was hard at first because you're right. It was like the norm. I was at this club from 14 years old. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I left at 21. So it was everything I'd ever known about, even life, was there. Ipswich. Do you know what I mean? They were like my crucial years. Like you talk about teenage years, like 14, but like 15, 16, 17. These like your late teenage years. Do you know what I mean? So it was a real eye opener because you're leaving Ipswich, and then all of a sudden I'm heading to London. Now, I know I grew up in London, but I left London at 11. But we talk about London, do you know what I mean? Arguably one of the best cities in the world. Do you know what I mean? I'm coming from a place called Ipswich. I'm thinking that I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. Do you know what I mean? How's it going to go down? But as I said, it was tough to leave there. But I went back a few times and I always got really, really good receptions when I went back to Ipswich. Always fans singing my name. Always, you know what I mean? It was always really good.
Yeah, it's class. You're a legend there, aren't you? So yeah, would expect that. Signed for Charlton, 2.5 mil, back in the Premier with the big boys. Again, another cracking season, 18 Premier League goals. Made you the highest scoring Englishman that year. Mm-hmm. I think you're third in the charts behind Ruud van Nistelrooy and Henry. Not bad names, are they? Not bad strikers. Ruud van Nistelrooy and Henry. Darren Bent, Charlton, 18 goals. Who was that?
Do you know what? It was
what a season.
It was that. Oh my goodness! Do you know what though? Do you know what helped me? A few things played a part that season. First of all, I got to Charlton quite early before pre-season started, so I got a full pre-season in. And Alan Kirbishley said to me, "Listen, Darren, I'm buying you to play. I'm not buying you to just like obviously be part of the squad. I'm buying you to play day one to make sure you're ready. So I don't even care if you score no goals in pre-season. You're playing day one to be ready." And obviously, I tortured Sunderland from the year before. Yeah. All right, at Ipswich, so they got promoted that season. So they were my first 2 games that Premier League season were Sunderland and Wigan, and I battered them both the season.
So you like class, man. It needed a good start in confidence, and then bang.
Exactly. What I didn't want was Arsenal and Man United the first 2 games.
Yeah, no goals. You know, new summer signing, crowd on your back already.
Yeah. So obviously it was the debut against Sunderland. It was I got 2 on my debut, which helped. Then I get the England call up straight after the game into the national team. So obviously all this confidence. I'm in the England squad already after 1 game. Then I play the following week, score again. Then we play Birmingham the week after that, score another goal. Then I think we played Chelsea after that, I don't know if I score it. I think I don't score against Chelsea, but then I play Burnley. Then I win Barclaycard Player of the Month. So everything that could go right in my first month went right.
What start?
Like England
What
squad.
start?
What start?
Summer signing, goals, England call up, Player of the Month. Absolutely
honestly, I could not ask for a better start. So then, obviously, when you've got off to such a good start, it's just about you hanging on to it. Do you know what I mean? You just keep playing well, momentum, keep going. And if you think about it, there was a period in that season where I didn't score for 7 games, right? And the manager still stayed with me, stuck with me. I mean, I came out of it again and scored like 7 in 7 or something, but that wouldn't happen now. You score 3 games now, you're out the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
especially from striker's point of view, you need that man who's got faith in you and just for that confidence, because as a striker, you don't turn into a bad striker overnight. It's just confidence that goes up and down.
Exactly, so, and that's why Ali Kovacic was brilliant, and he just stuck with me. And as you said there, all season I'm battling bloody Thierry and Van Nistelrooy. They're at United and Arsenal getting service left, right, and centre. I'm battling with these guys at Charlton. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was.
Were you keeping your eye on the charts, like going through? You know, scoring, banging goals, and you're like, I might be in a chance here.
Do you know what? I was, because listen, I had some good midfield players playing with me. I had Romerdale playing on the right. I had Ambrose was there. Jerome Thomas was there. Danny Murphy, Alexis Merton. I had good players around me. Do you know what I mean? That were opportunities. So it was just one of them where I think I've got to about 10 games to go, and I think them guys just kicked on again. I think. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't stick with them.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that's it. At the end of that season, now I come second PFA Young Player of the Year behind Rooney. Do you know what I mean? I come second. So everything that could have gone right in that first season, obviously, other than what happened at the end of that season when I don't go to the World Cup somehow, everything worked for me.
Yeah. And you touched on your England call up there. Do you remember getting that call and
yeah?
Obviously, I saw you had you've been banging them in for under 21s. I think you had 14 caps, 9 goals. So it was, and then you started scoring in the Premier League. So it was, inevitable that you're going to get that call up. But were you still surprised and obviously buzzing?
Yeah, I was. And listen, by the way, you said about 14 appearances for under 21s. It was like 6 starts. 6 starts all coming.
14 appearances, let's get over 6 starts, 9 goals.
Yeah.
Goal machine.
So it was it was do you know what it was? It was, I got the call up, right? I didn't. You're right. I didn't expect it, because at the time I thought Rooney's there, Owen's still playing. Do you know what I mean? There's all these. Emil Heskey's still playing. I'm thinking Crouch is still there. Defoe's there. All these guys are ahead of me. I'm thinking when I get into the Premier League, I'm not even thinking about a call up. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even because I'm thinking, well, I'm in the Premier League, because I get it. Back then, under 21s was very political. So even I was playing every single week for Ipswich Town, if there was a striker on a first team bench in the Premier League for like Liverpool or United, they would play.
They'll play.
Do you know what I mean? They would play because their clubs would say they've got to play. So and for that Peter Taylor, the moment I went to the Premier League, he was like, well, I don't really care now, because he's in the Premier League, he's scoring goals. So if it's an under 21 game, he's starting, and no one can say otherwise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, 6 starts, 9 goals sounds a lot better, doesn't
it? Exactly.
It doesn't tell you that on Wikipedia, does
it? I remember playing the game against Sunderland, scoring the 2, walking off the pitch, all good. I'm in the change room now, getting on the bus. The under 21 squad comes out. Check my phone now. I'm not on it. I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, what is going on here? I was like, huh? So anyway, I was fuming. I said, nah. So I pick up the phone and I said to Lindsay, he was the secretary. I said, Lindsay, how come I'm not in the under 21s? I said, like, I've been in every squad for the last 2 years. I've just scored 2 on my debut in the Premier League, and I'm not in the squad. She went, oh no. She went, to be fair, Darren, I shouldn't really say anything, but I think you're going to be with the big boys today. I said, what do you mean? She went, well, Sven really liked what he saw today, so I think you're going to be with the full national team. I went, yeah, good one. Like, I went, yeah. I promise you. So she went, listen, just if you haven't heard anything in the next couple of hours, call me. I went, all right, cool. So I'm waiting now. About 5 minutes later, I get a text. You have been selected for the England squad versus right? And even then, I'm looking at it thinking, nah, someone's having me off.
Wind up. Who's it? Who's number this? Wind up.
I picked it up and I called it. I said, hello. She went, hi, Darren, it's Michelle. I went, hi. He went, hi, yeah, congratulations, you called up. I went, oh, so this is real. She went, Yeah, oh yeah, you're in the England squad. So then I was like, oh, thanks very much. So first people I called was my mum and my dad, and I'm like, Mum, I said to my dad, you're never gonna believe what's just happened here. He's like, what? I'm like, because obviously they're on the way back from Sunderland
From the
because it was
game,
away
yeah.
from Sunderland to fucking it's far. So I'm like, you're never gonna guess what's happened here. They're like, what? I'm like, I must be called up the England squad. They went, what England squad?
Yeah. Back in 90s. Been demoted.
Yeah, I went the seniors. They went, oh wait, and then obviously I was in the squad. They both got flights over to Denmark. I didn't make my debut. I didn't come on, but just being in that environment, and when you're talking about legends, you're talking about Beckham, you're talking about Gerrard, Lampard, Rio, and these guys, if you think about it, are all in their prime as well. These ain't older.
What an era! What an era! What an absolute era!
Do you know what I mean? 26 years old. Joe Cole, Gerrard, Lampard, Rio, Terry. Honestly, standard of training was frightening.
Mate, you're getting texts from England senior groups. It's calling you up. I'm getting texts from Domino's saying 2 for 1 pizzas. What a text to receive. England first thing and call up. Unbelievable.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. So you said you got called up. You didn't come on. Your first debut was against Uruguay, and just those names you mentioned. I went through the lineup: Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, David Beckham, Joe Cole, Steven Gerrard, Wayne Rooney. Absolute legends. So when you're getting called up, when you obviously went training with these kind of these really like legends of the game, were you nervous, or what was your reaction?
I've always said, right, when I was in that England squad, I had to prepare every training session like a game, because I had to my fluids had to be right. I had to get enough sleep, because these guys, I promise you, were so switched on and sharp that it was one of them, right? I knew that if I didn't come to training, like when we did finishing sessions, that wasn't a problem because I knew I could finish. So do you know what I mean? That if we played little five-a-side, I know I'd score games, but it was things like possession. Now, if I was on someone's team and I gave the ball away, you wouldn't get it back for the chasing for 5 minutes. So the last thing I'd want to happen is like I give it away, we chase, they win it back, they give it to me, I give it away again, we're chasing again. Do you know what I mean? It was just like one of them where I had to be every day like switched on, because the standard was ridiculous.
Just in those key balls, if you gave it away, who'd be on your case? Who'd be barking?
Do you know what? Sometimes like
CVG,
you get like he'd be on you, Rio would be like, come on D, but sometimes it was just the look you get. Sometimes the look as if to say,
it's the look. It's the look, and that's it.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes that's worse.
The ball, got to get this back.
Yeah. No. So honestly, it was so hard, but the standard was an absolute joke, man.
It just went up another level, like you said. And what was it? The touches, the pace, passing, movement. Like, so you mentioned Ferdinand. Your striker, you're playing against Ferdinand training, was just unreal on just another level.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, 5-a-sides weren't a problem because I could always score goals, but it was more like the possession where these guys just knew where, vision, being a midfielder, just looking all over the place. These guys were just like receiving balls and knowing someone was like behind them over there, so that would come to them. They just, do you know what I mean? Like they'd play 1 touch, 2 touch, you just couldn't get anywhere near them. And then you just couldn't do anything. But I mean, one of the best was Scott Parker. He was with possession, you couldn't get it off him. Chop out. You just couldn't get anywhere near him.
I spoke to Matt Holland a couple of weeks ago because he obviously played with him at Charlton, and I played against Scott Parker in a reserve game when he was at Chelsea, and I was playing in midfield against him, and honestly, you couldn't get the ball off him, like you just said. Just strong, quick, strong in the tackle, could pass, just low centre of gravity, just swivel left, right, can't get near him.
Honestly,
unbelievable,
scary.
So was he one of the main players that like surprised you in training in that England camp?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few things that surprised me. First and foremost, obviously, I thought Scott Parker was one because I knew he was a good player, but I didn't appreciate how good he was until I saw him in training. And obviously, later on down the line, I played with him at Fulham. But no, Steven Gerrard's intensity in training, that's the one thing that always sticks in my mind. He would, honestly, even if you're like, it's only training, he'd fly to tackles. Fly to tackles. Didn't want to lose. He didn't care if it was like Beckham, whoever, into tackles. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, didn't want to lose real energy about training, real like take training by the scruff of the neck. And he was the one person I said, "Raw, I need to up my levels in training," because this guy was just honestly all out training, left it all on the training pitch.
Was there anyone else like that who just because obviously, like you said, he rubbed off on you in that kind of way?
Not in that intensity. As far as intensity goes, he was like, honestly, like when I say flying into tackles, I was like, oh, like if it was like Rooney or someone like that, I'd probably just like try and stick a toe in and toe it away. He didn't care. He was just like wham,
just wham. And because Stevie Gerrard, what are you going to say, Stevie Gerrard? You're going to say anything to him, are you? What can you say? One of Liverpool's greatest players. One of my idols growing up, and still is now, to be honest, David Beckham. Obviously, he'd been in those camps, and I think at the time he'd been playing for Real Madrid at the time, so he'd just been whipping balls in for Zidane, Ronaldo, and then all of a sudden you're playing with him in training. How was that?
Do you know what it was, right? And he's the one person I've got so much respect for, because when I first got in the squad, my very first squad, so obviously I got there because I'm nervous. Do you know what I mean? I'm nervous. So I get there. If we have to meet at 10 o'clock, I got there. I think we have to meet at 12 o'clock. So I got there at 10 o'clock. So that's 2 hours early, right? He's obviously been there since 8 o'clock, right? I walk into the building. I walk down these steps. He comes around the corner. First thing he says to me is, "How you doing, Darren? You're right. Listen, congratulations getting the England call up. You thoroughly deserved it. You scored 2 great goals yesterday, 2 really, really good finishes. You make them run you make them run to me. You know I'll find you. But listen, you thoroughly deserve to be here. Like, congratulations." And that was just like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, he took the time. He took the time to go, seeing obviously what I did yesterday. Scored 2 goals. Know how I play. Make me feel at home. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, and that's one thing I think. Like, it settled me down a little bit. Like, I was still nervous, but for him, do you know what I mean? The global superstar to go, brilliant 2 goals yesterday. You deserve your call up. I like the way you play. When I've got the ball, you make them runs. I'll find you. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. The small details. Listen, massive.
Mate, you'll first meet up with England team. You get there 2 hours early. Beckham's there already, and he's commentating on your game and how well you played and stuff like that. Unbelievable. That's amazing. Amazing. But
that's what I'm saying. But that separates the real, true, proper captains than someone who just got the armband on. Like, I look at Matt Holland as a proper captain. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Someone who I talk to, like, who's not just got the armband on for the sake of it. They are a proper captain.
Yeah. And how was Bex off the field? Did he keep himself to himself, or did he join in with the banter, or how was he?
Yeah, he was cool, to be fair. He socialised. I mean, it's funny because when we'd be at lunch sometimes, it'd be jokes because obviously I'm talking about it's Beckham, global superstar. So a couple of times he would sit near me. I'd find myself just staring at him.
You have to stop yourself. You're
like staring at him like what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, but listen,
what was that?
He was a good
what was
guy.
That era? Did you have the ponytail then, or the mohawk?
Yeah,
what was that era?
Yeah, the long hair.
Yeah, that was the Real Madrid long hair, wasn't it then? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I was like,
wrong.
Just staring at him like,
just staring at him.
Do you know what I mean? But nah, he was a good guy, man. Always laughing and joking with everybody. Always took time out to talk to anyone, and as I said, he's a proper captain.
What a legend! What an absolute legend in the game. That's weird, mate. Because remember, me, you, Ambrose, Dicko, bit of training, practicing free kicks like Beckham.
Yeah.
3-4 years later, you're lining up with him for England. How mental was that?
Honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy though, and I've always said this. It's crazy how a bit of momentum, like as you said there, like you're talking about me. We're 16. We're practicing free kicks and stuff. Like me, you, Ambrose, Dicko, and 5 years later, I'm standing on a real pitch next to him practicing free kicks. You know what I mean? It's momentum just picks up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you practice free kicks with him? Or was his technique just outrageous?
No, I left him to it. I said, I work on my finishing, but he'd do him, Steven Gerrard, working on their free kicks. Rooney, mate, standard. Wow. The best standard of free kick I've ever seen.
Not bad free players.
And even then, you can throw in Wayne Bridge as well. Because he had the lefty as well, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So
technique, did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah. Not bad. You mentioned Rooney. What was he like in training and playing with? Was he just unbelievable talent?
Different class. No fear. Try anything.
You just look at him. That's just raw talent. You know, just born to play the game, isn't he? Everything.
Raw strength, raw ability, raw power. And to be fair, he was good because in training, like people wouldn't go near him, man. Like it was just like you could go really like Steven Gerrard will tackle him, but when he got the ball to his feet and he's moving his body, he was that strong that you think to yourself, if you try and go in and toe it, he just moves you out the way. Do you know what I mean? He was that strong. But I'd say he was a good guy, and I mean, it was a shot. I would have liked to have played with him. I mean, I was old enough to play against him for years, play with him for a long time. But when you're talking about that 2004 bit, was it 2003, 2004, the Euros, where he was a joke, where he was incredible. Do you know what I mean? But obviously after that, things seemed to happen. Like he got injured at the wrong time for England major tournaments and that. But that 2004 Rooney was like, ooh, wow.
Yeah. What a player. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just staying on England for a bit. I hear like Rio Ferdinand and even Lamps says it now about the divide between the players in England and why they weren't successful as a squad. Like you obviously you were there with those kind of players playing. Did you sense that as well, or was it kind of just between them, like the North East South divide? And Ferdinand said like he's obviously friends with Lamps from their West Ham days, but when he went to Man United, Lamps at Chelsea, and it was just they just kind of like enemies. They just that club kind of rivalry kind of affected the England setup. Did you feel that and sense that as a player?
Yeah, you'd probably say, because you look at that squad then to the squad now, you'd probably say if they're all at their peak, the squad back then would beat this England squad now.
Oh, hands down. Hands down.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I think so,
so something must have been going wrong. So you're probably right in what you're saying there, is that it was clicky. When I was in the squad, like I'd be hanging around with, say, like Kieran Richardson, Rio, Ashley Cole. Like it was very clicky. It was very, very clicky. Like, and you look at the England squad now, they're very like friendly orientated. That they all look like they're friends off the pitch.
Yeah.
Now, maybe because I was at Charlton at the time, or my club wasn't like United, Chelsea's, Liverpool's, that I could kind of just bounce between all of them.
You're really kind of neutral. Yeah,
neutral. Whereas
you weren't a threat to win the league.
Exactly. Whereas obviously Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Arsenal were the big four in this country at that time. They were the top four.
That was massive then, wasn't it? You think Wenger, the Mourinho days, Fergie, just huge rivalry.
Fergie, Rafa Benitez,
Liverpool, exactly. Massive.
It was massive. So when I look back to it now, I think you're right. To be fair, there was clicks all over the place. Like there was no real cohesion between the squad. Yeah. So, and that's probably why you're probably saying there that they didn't really win. Because listen, arguably in certain competitions, 2002, take that World Cup out the window, because you talk about Brazil. They had the best team: Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. They're the best team. They were going to beat anybody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But before that and after that, you think, well, England had the squads to do stuff, but for whatever reason they didn't.
Yeah. You go talk about managers as well, and like, was it Capello the 4-4-2, and was it Sven or Capello the 4-4-2? Yeah, trying to shift Scholes on the left and trying to accommodate Gerrard and
Sven.
Yeah, it's everyone's crying out that's not working, but it just kind of stuck to it and wasn't working.
Yeah.
You're on the bench for the game, the Euro qualifier, the Croatia.
I know. Oh, Jesus. What a bad night that was.
It came, so it's a bad night for England, but I suppose the game more famous for Steve McLaren standing this side of the pitch holding an umbrella. So you're on the bench with the boys, obviously, and he's got up when it starts raining, and he's got the umbrella up. What are you boys thinking on the bench? Anyone say anything?
At first, we're thinking well played. It's peeing down the rain here, so we're thinking well played.
Bell was coming down quite hard here.
Yeah, but you know what? That night there was horrible, because like that season, I remember Scotty Carson was playing really, really well as well.
Oh yeah.
And obviously he was in goal for that game. He made the mistake. Obviously, it cost us. We didn't go. I missed the chance at the end where it wasn't even a chance, but I think because people were looking for people to blame, I just got thrown into that bracket. So like, it wasn't even a proper chance. Like, it went over the top. I'm with the defender. The keeper's off his line. I've got to like hook it over my shoulder type thing. And people were like, oh, he's missed a sitter. But it wasn't even do you know what I mean? It wasn't even a chance. It was like, I fashioned myself. But listen, it wasn't good. I mean, and the funny thing about it, right, is I wasn't even supposed to come on that game, right? As the game's going on. Because all we needed was a point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1 point to qualify. So obviously, Steve McLaren, he's made his first substitution. We're doing okay. He makes a second substitution. We're doing all right. And then so he I think he said to Coley or somebody, he said, Owen Hargreaves maybe or somebody, right, go and warm up. You're coming on. So they go and warm up. So I'm thinking, right, That's the third substitution. I'm not coming on. So I'm there, like, just sitting. I never, like, I went to take my pads off, but Sam just said to me, you know what? No, just don't. Just sit there. So I sat there watching the game now. Owen Hargreaves, I think it was Owen Hargreaves is warming up because he's thinking, right, we're coming up to the last 10 or 15 minutes of the game. Get Owen Hargreaves on. He'll just sit there in front of the back four, protect the back four, shore it up. Anyway, he's warming up now. They score at the end. They score a goal. 3-2 down now. He turns around, he's panicking. He's like, you know what? I hear him say, we've got to get Bentley on. Let's get Bentley on. We need to get him on now. So I'm not even ready to go now. He's like, Bentley, come on, we're going on. He calls it Owen back. So he just throws me on. So I wasn't even going to come on. And then obviously we play the game. We end up losing. But I just remember the rest of that week was awful. We don't qualify for that tournament.
Yeah. He's getting hammered in the papers, and he with the Wally with Brolly.
Yeah.
So none of the boys said nothing about him with the umbrella up. I know what I was thinking watching on TV. I think, what is he doing?
I worked with Steve. He's such a good manager, good coach, good guy. Do you know what I mean? I worked with him at Derby for a couple of years. But you could tell that stigma of the Wally with the Brolly will never ever leave him.
Nah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well he does. Like, remember, he went to Holland, won trophies in Holland, league titles. But that stigma of being Wally and the Brolly, every time he comes back to this country, will never leave him.
Nah. He didn't help himself, but like you say, it was chucking down. So, yes, you didn't make the Euros then, and then skip forward. You're in the 30-man squad for the prelim squad for the 2010 World Cup.
Don't get started on that.
Oh, terrible. Obviously, you didn't make the 23-man squad. Was that with you got injured before? Was it the ankle?
Yeah, there was that one, but no, the 2010. What was it? 2010. 2010 was the year I scored 25, right? And don't go to the tournament. 25.
Oh,
Sunderland. That was that one, which obviously it happened to me before in 2006, where I scored the 22 all in. Only you said they only lost to Van Nistelrooy and Thierry. I don't go to that World Cup. 2010, the same thing happened. Scored 25, only get beat by Drogba and Rooney. Don't go again to the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like the first time really hurt because I thought, I can't believe this, like politics. But then the second time, because I was so, like, both times as well, I was sitting in my mum's front room, and we said it can't happen again, surely. But it happened again. And then the one that you're talking about, which was the 2012, Capello. I played every squad. I was in every squad, played in every game. I think I scored 4 goals in 4 games. Then I injured my ankle in the January, missed the rest of the season, missed the Euros.
Devastated. Yeah, because like you said, you're banging him in as well. So you end up playing 13 times for England, scoring 4 goals. I look through your career, obviously, and your stats. You were highest scoring Englishman in the Premier League, I think, twice. Over 100 Premier League goals, over 200 career goals. Your top goal scorer for your club, 8 or 9 seasons. Do you feel you kind of didn't get a fair go with it in England? Like, you look at your stats,
100%.
All those goals you
100%.
scored in it, and you look back 13 caps. Something doesn't add up there.
Listen, 100%. Like, and I agree that, but maybe listen. Sometimes I put it down to maybe wrong managers at the wrong time. Because if I had Gareth Southgate, I'd have more stats. Because I don't think he looks at reputation. He looks at who's playing well. Because as you said there, take for instance people like Welbeck, for instance, Danny Welbeck, very good player, not a prolific goal scorer, but he's got, I think, nearly over 50 caps. Now you just said there for yourself. And with me, I scored over 200 career goals, over 100 goals in the Premier League, which is supposed to be the best league in world football.
Yeah,
and I've got 13 caps.
13 caps.
Do you know what I mean? So it just doesn't. And I've always said it just doesn't add up to me. But at the end of the day, listen, I'm lucky enough to have represented my country. Do I feel I should have more caps? Absolutely. And if I'd had another 10 to 20 more caps, I think I'd have had another 10 to 20 more goals. Do you know what I mean? So that's how it just works.
Do you think was that kind of because your club career, you didn't play for the big 4? So do you think that was a stigma that had you attached to you? So like Capello and like Sven and then kind of boys didn't want to kind of throw you in as a main England number 9 because you weren't at those kind of clubs. Like, so now if you were banging in goals now in the Premier League, playing for those kind of clubs that you did in the Premier League, you'd be playing for sure.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, Capello's the only manager, obviously, when he didn't take me to the 2010 World Cup, obviously they struggled at that World Cup. It wasn't good for anyone concerned. So I remember the season afterwards, he phoned me up. He phoned me, or I can't remember if he either phoned me, Capello, or when he called me up for my first squad. And he said, "Listen, D," he wouldn't say D. He said, "Listen, Darren, I made a massive mistake, and I apologise for this. I should have taken you to the 2010 World Cup. You scored 25 goals. Because listen, I promise you now, going forward, you are going to be my number 9. This whole campaign leading up to the Euros, you are going to be my main number 9. So get ready, because you're going to get your opportunities." And to be fair to him, from day one, he played me, bang, 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 and all the squads. Obviously, until I got injured, do you know what I mean? And then I think even if I'd have come back at the end of that season and he was still in charge, he probably still would have took me out of principle. But obviously, Roy Hodgson got the job. He phoned me up. I remember he phoned me saying, "Listen, Darren, listen, you've done fantastic in the qualifying campaign. You're one of the main reasons why we've qualified, with your goals and stuff. So just get yourself back fit. But I'm not going to take you to this Euros. I only want to take players that are fully fit, which is fair enough. But get yourself fit, and we'll see you next season." And from that conversation there, I never ever got back into England fold again after that.
Cheers.
Never again after that.
Yes, some bad luck on the way. Just going back to Capello, I was listening to Talk Sport clips last week and saw Glenn Johnson's story about when Heskey's phone went off in a team meeting or something, and he just got his lunch tray and smashed it on the floor, so he went mental at him. Was he that strict in those?
Yeah, listen, I've seen him go mental a few times. I've seen him go mental
really?
on that occasion. Yeah, on that occasion.
Oh,
I seen him go crazy. I seen him go crazy for Joe Cole when Joe Cole was sitting on the football. He kicked the ball from under Joe Cole. You don't have to sit on footballs.
You just get in the ball and you just kicked it underneath him.
kicked under him, did like that. And also as well, listen, if you was late for a team meeting, he would go ballistic. Like Defoe and a couple others were late down to a team meeting. He went absolutely crazy. He started talking about this. This is why England don't win anything. They've got the wrong mentality. People don't want to win in this. People can't win in this culture. Honestly, he went ballistic. He was not happy one bit. He was going absolutely crazy, about going crazy, screaming. Do you know what I mean? About
screaming.
England players' mentality. Yeah, England players' mentality and stuff.
It's just nuts, just going off nuts. Was he screaming in broken English or screaming in Italian?
Yeah. It was a bit of both. Like he was trying to get the English out, but at times obviously he couldn't get what he wanted out. So then the Italian would come out, and then the English would come back out. But listen, he was a good guy, Capello. I didn't mind Capello. Obviously, one of the absolute greats, by the way, of management. But even his staff around him, Baldini, people like that, real good guys. You know what I mean? Legends.
Nice one, mate. Actually, talk about your England career there. We got to your club career then. Back to Charlton, second season. Despite your goals, they eventually get relegated. And then Spurs break the bank, sign you for 16.5 million. So at that point, you'd made the England squads, you'd had the debut, you'd scored 8 goals in again your second season in Premier League, even though Charlton struggled and got relegated. And club like Tottenham come for you. Was any sign of the big four coming in? Was any interest from Man U, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal?
Well, I mean, listen. At the end of that season, when we got relegated at Charlton, because I got injured in the January and I missed about 9 or 10 games. And I genuinely believe, because I was flying at the time when I got injured at Charlton. So Alan Pardew would come in. We played Fulham and Villa back to back. I scored in both of them games. I got 2 Premier League man of the matches. They were both on Sky. I got 2 man of the matches. So I was flying. Get injured, miss loads of games, come back, hit the ground running, score against Liverpool, Everton, West Ham. All these games, right? Scoring goals ultimately wasn't enough. Do you know what I mean? So we go. Anyway, Liverpool was kind of sniffing, saying, "Listen, we're interested in Darren. We're interested in Darren." Da, da, da. So I think Stephen Gerrard's on the phone to Danny Murphy. Danny Murphy's obviously played with me. So Danny Murphy's like, "Damn, listen, sign Darren. You need to sign him. He'll score your goals." Da, 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 da. So Stephen Gerrard's going back to I think Pepe Reina saying, not Pepe Reina, the manager. What's the manager called again? Rafa Benitez going, Rafa going, yeah, we should sign Darren. So there's a conversation then between my agent and Rafa saying, "Listen, tell Darren to be patient. We'll come and get him. be patient. We'll come and get him. Just tell him to be patient and relax. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking, all right, that's good. So I've got obviously.
I think I remember. I phoned you around that time, and you told me you were going to Liverpool at that time.
Yeah. So there was Rafa there, West Ham were there, and Spurs were there. So anyway, now I'm holding. Nothing's happening. So I'm like, I go on holiday to Miami, right? Alan Kirby's the West Ham manager now. Obviously, I've worked with Alan at West Ham. So I come back. I come back from Miami. He's like, just come. I want you to come to West Ham. Blah blah blah. I come back from Miami early, and he's like, I get off the plane. I go straight to Upton Park. I'm having a meeting with him, and this is the times where they're throwing money around like crazy. So like, obviously, they're just offering whatever. So I've gone to West Ham now, and I'm sitting there, I'm tired, but I'm like, I think I'm going to sign because I know Kirby. He's convinced me. So he's like, and to be fair to Kirby, he kept saying, "Listen, forget about Rafa. He's not going to sign you. Forget about it. If they wanted to do it, they would have done it already." I was like, "He's got a point." He was like, "I know Spurs are there pushing as well because Spurs are pushing." So I went there, but anyway, I don't end up signing at West Ham. Like, something puts me off. I don't end up signing. I end up going to Spurs. I go to Spurs the next day, do a medical, sign for Spurs. Anyway, Curbs was right in what he was saying because they got Liverpool. What they were waiting on was Torres.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? That's what they were waiting on to see what was going to happen with Torres. So obviously, They were waiting. So then if they didn't get Torres, then maybe they would have come and got me. But obviously, I just didn't wait long. I ended up signing for Spurs. And then a couple of days later, Torres walks in the door. So then I kind of understood that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get it.
Fair enough. He did it right for him, I suppose.
Yeah.
He scored 2 goals, didn't he?
Oh,
yeah.
so good.
Was that Martin Yole signed you, Spurs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had quite a quiet season for your standards, goal wise. I think it was 8.
Oh no, it was tough. It was tough because I went there. I remember, if you think about it, Robbie Keane was still there, Berbatov was still there, Defoe was there. Defoe, them 3 was in front of me. So I went there because I wanted to challenge myself. But you're right, it was a hard season that.
Yeah, and then obviously Yole gets the sack and Ramos comes in. What was that like? That change? Did he play you or?
Well, it made no difference to me because Martin Yole signed me, give me this whole speech, but still played Berbatov and Keane all the time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it just didn't. It just didn't work. Then Ramos come in, and to be fair to Ramos, he didn't even say anything. He just played them 2 anyway. So it wasn't even like he gave me the speech. He just played them 2. So, but listen, these 2 were brilliant. Keane and Berbatov and Defoe. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
we won the cup that year. I scored a few goals. We played well. But still, it was a tough season, and I've always said to people that first season made me grow up as a person. Do you know what I mean?
I think that was one of your toughest seasons as a pro.
Yeah. So yeah, really, really tough. Yeah.
Was there after the first season? Was there a point where you wanted out, or was it now some Tottenham I need to show them, I need to make it here?
Yeah, it was one of them where it was kind of like. It was weird because you're right. At the start of that season, I'm up against Berbatov, Keane, and Defoe, and then at the end of that season, they all leave. Defoe goes to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Keane goes to Liverpool, and Berbatov goes to United.
So you're thinking happy days?
It's me on my own. So it's me, Pavlyuchenko, and Fraser Campbell because we've got Fraser on loan. So it was like. I start the season. I have an unbelievable pre-season. We play. I think
12 was 12 years for that.
Or 30. Yeah, I think 13 goals or something like that. Pre-season. I scored 2 against Roma. I scored against Celtic. I scored 4 against Norwich. 3 against Leyton Orient. 4 against. Do you know what I mean? Like it couldn't have gone any better for me pre-season. We start the season really, really slow. I don't score till my 3rd game, which was against Chelsea at the Bridge. We draw 1-1 when I score my first goal. So I kick on from there, but our results still weren't great. So then obviously Ramos gets the chop. Harry walks in. And that was okay. Obviously, he started scoring goals for Harry, gets going really well. Then me and him kind of have a falling out because even though he's playing me, I don't feel like he really wants to. He doesn't really rate me as like he might think I'm a good player, but he wanted Crouchy in. He wanted Defoe back, so Defoe comes back. He wants all these other. Do you know what I mean? He wants them all back in. So, which is understandable. So even though I finished the second season that top goal scorer, I knew at the end of that season I was going to be leaving.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you had that feeling about Harry that he didn't really,
Yeah,
he didn't have
I knew.
his confidence.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason he kind of had to play me at times because I kept scoring. Now, I feel like he didn't really want
Right.
want to play me, but I just kept scoring and scoring and scoring to the point he was like, well, rather than me just fight against it, I might as well just use it. The end of the season's coming up, so I might as well just use it to my advantage. And that's fair. I get injured against United towards the end of the season. We lose 5-2. I score. I get injured and I miss it. I come back for like my last game of the season, but I knew from then that I was going to be out of there.
Yeah. Just on Harry there. Obviously, I've got to bring up the famous quote. He says that you. How do you miss that? My missus could have scored it.
So, it was.
What's your initial? So he says that his post-match interview. What's your initial reaction to that? You hear that as a player?
The first thing I think is you cheeky. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
why would you say that? Do you know what I mean? But like, if any other manager says that, it probably doesn't get the traction because it's Harry and all that, and he's obviously quick with the gabs and all that. People didn't kind of mind it. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
it kind of stuck. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, people love to bring up when I talk about me and Harry, but at the same time, at first it hurt. It was annoying. It made me angry more than anything.
Did you speak to him about it, or did you go in and see him then like Monday training?
Yeah. I went and spoke to him, and the first thing he was kind of said was like, it was just one of them things, Benty. Like it just come up, slip of the tongue. It was nothing personal, but do you know what I mean? Like, you should have scored it. I was like, I know that, but you don't need to. You obviously, I know I should have scored it. But the crazy thing about it is that we played Bolton Wanderers the next week, and obviously I'm livid with him. So me and him practically stopped speaking for the rest of the season. We played Bolton the following week. I'm on the bench. We go 2-0 down. He's like, I'm just sitting there, like, not really, like, I'm bothered. Obviously, we're losing, but I'm more still angry about it and thinking, well, do you know what I mean? Nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Puts me on. Come on, score 2. I bring the game back, score 2 in about 3 minutes. Bang, bang. Brings it back to 2-2, and then we lose 3-2. And then after the game, he's like all over me, again. What a performance. That's how you bounce back and all that. And I'm thinking, don't give me all that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to hear all that nonsense. But no, as I said, all these things in this Spurs period probably helped me the next season when I went to Sunderland to have the best season I ever had because I used it as motivation. Do you know what I mean? To show people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So obviously after that interview he done and he says that quote, was that the break that your relationship broke down there and it was just no going back from that?
It kind of broke down from before that, if I'm honest, because I knew it in myself that he didn't fancy me as a player. And you know, like it's a hard situation. Anyone who's been in that situation, when you're like, obviously I'm forcing his hand because I keep scoring. Yeah. So I'm sure because we played Fulham one game and I didn't score, and that's when he took me out. So he was waiting for a reason to take me out. Do you know what I mean? And that was the reason I didn't play well at Fulham, and he took me out. Do you know what I mean? So anyone who's played for a manager who didn't really fancy them, it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, he's like you said, it was still good season for you personally, finishing 17 goals, top scorer for the club. So when the season finishes, you your mind's made up? You going?
Yeah, I knew already that I was going. And to be fair, Steve Bruce must have got wind that I was going to be leaving, and he called me up and he said, "Listen, Darren, I'm going to ask you one question. Will you come to Sunderland? Do you want to come and play for Sunderland?" And hearing him ask me that question, I said, "Yeah." I knew that was the only place I wanted to go. Like, from when the man phoned me up and goes, and listen, I remember I'm from London, but I'm obviously living in Huntingdon. Like it's all new. Do you know what I mean? It's all nice to me to go and move miles away.
Yeah.
He just said to me, "Listen, do you want to come and play for Sunderland and score goals?" From when he said that to me, I said, "Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere else." Yeah. So obviously I knew it was far away, but also I knew that all I could focus on was just football. So I knew that was the perfect place for me.
Yeah, and you just want that manager, who had confidence in you and get that confidence back from the manager. Obviously, give you confidence in and they to go out and score goals like you did. I think you had a great season. 24
Prem, 25 in total. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, behind Drogba and Rooney, not bad players.
Do you know what's mad though? Do you know what's crazy about that season is that obviously it was us three practically fighting out the whole season for this golden boot. But this is why I always hold Drogba at such high esteem. He went to the African nations and came back and still scored 29.
It was a beast, when he absolute machine. That's when he was peaking. That's when he was peaking, wasn't he? At Chelsea, that team with Joe Cole, Robin, him up front.
Do you know what I mean? You think how can a guy go away for like 4 weeks, come back and still finish with 29?
29 goals. Amazing. Just go back to your days at Tottenham quickly. You played with Bale, didn't you? But that was the start of his Tottenham career, and he was playing left back. Could you see obviously the potential? Could you see him then going on to do what he's done in the game and be the player he's become?
Do you know what? At Tottenham, he was young. He kind of struggled a little. He struggled a little bit, but he wasn't. He hasn't developed. That's what I'll say. He hadn't developed into the Bale that we see today. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can see the potential that he was quick. He had a great left foot, could go past people, but you could still see that he was a bit fragile. That he hadn't quite found himself. But there was something there. It was just about getting that out. But listen, obviously, as we see, when he transformed into the Bale that we know,
that was it. The UEFA Cup game. The UEFA Cup game against Inter Milan. That was it. That was it. Hat trick. Just got the ball past him. He's one of the best right backs in the world at the time being, and he just ate him. Unbelievable.
Destroyed him. Yeah, destroyed him.
And what career?
Listen, he was good. It was a good guy. And that was the tough thing though. Is that Harry didn't rate him. Harry wanted to get rid of him, send him to Forest on loan.
Oh really?
Yeah, tried to get rid of him.
Jesus. Now look at him. Yeah, football, isn't it? Football, isn't it? That's why, so everyone loves it. Opinions. And was Modric there when you played?
Best player I've ever played with.
Really?
Best player I've ever played with, yeah.
Is that good? Yeah. A lot of people say that. Yeah, a lot of people say that he's just unbelievable. Like, what makes him so good?
When we talk about Scott Parker, obviously in training, obviously you can't get this guy is in a different planet. This guy, Modric, is on a different planet.
Really?
Because every time he goes to shut him down, he'd like move it 2 yards, and his first 2 steps, he was gone. Couldn't get him. Everything was outside of the boot. Like he would never ever. Everything was everything was just like outside of his boot. It was just two steps ahead. Yeah, 2 steps ahead of everybody on the pitch.
So all those players you play with, little coffee. all those names you reeled off earlier, playing in the English setup: Beckham, Joe Cole, Gerrard, Lance, Rooney, Modric. Best player you play with. Really?
Best player. Yeah. Honestly, you don't understand. He was on a different level. Like Gerrard was unbelievable in these things here, but he just had this elegance about him where he just any situation, give him the ball. Don't matter. Does not matter. You can't get the ball. Yeah, give it to him.
And playing as a striker, was he good at like playing through balls and playing you in and stuff? Services class.
He wasn't like, I wouldn't say he was one of them strikers, them midfielders that would be like expansive. Like Danny Murphy would try anything. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't care. Even if 9 times it didn't work, he'd keep doing it because he knows that at some stage it will work. He would just like, Modric would just get the ball, play it, just play, just keep it moving. Honestly, outrageous.
Yeah, unbelievable. What a player. Then gone on to have a not bad career either.
four Champions Leagues later.
Not bad. What a player. So you said you had a great career, 24 league goals. So you're looking at the Premier League now, and do you reckon the number 9, the traditional number 9 is a dying breed? Do you think, like, if you were playing now, you'd finish top goal scorer? Because like look at the names when you were playing, and you're in the scoring charts. You know, you're scoring all those goals, and there's players like Van Nistelrooy, Henry, Drogba, Rooney, Tevez, Torres, Ronaldo. These, world-class, absolute legends of the game, strikers. And like, you look at the game now, do you think like number 9 is like a dying breed? You've got your wingers now, your inverted wingers that score the goals.
Yeah, the traditional number 9 that I played is a dying breed, because now you look around the league, right? So how many real out number 9s are there? I can really only think of one, Jamie Vardy.
You say Vardy and Aguero. They're both in their 30s.
Yeah, and maybe Danny Ings. Give Danny Ings a credit.
Yeah.
No, but other than that, because I think the wide men are now forward and they score just as many goals as the centre forward, it's hard for one man in one team to go and score so many goals. I mean, look at Manchester City, for instance. They've got Aguero who scores all the goals, but then Sterling's now chipping in with like 20 plus. I mean, I read a stat on him the other day. He's only 25 now, and he's already got 87 Premier League goals.
Not bad.
And
Still gets thick.
And exactly, and he's 25 years old. So I definitely say that the number 9 now is a dying breed, and it's a shame. But obviously, I mean, listen, you talk about my era. If you go before my era, you talk about Shearer, Ferdinand, Andy Cole, Dwight York, Les Ferdinand, Fowler, Sheringham. Do you know what I mean? The list's endless.
Class strikers. Class strikers.
So they probably that era probably looked at my era and went, "There's no centre forwards in there." Just like I'm looking at the next era going,
yeah. Definitely, yeah. That's funny. So you first season 24 league goals, amazing season. But actually, stat wise, I reckon your next season is just unbelievable. I didn't even know this about you. You still read it. So your second season of Sunderland, you leave Sunderland in January, go to Villa. End of that season, you end up top goal scorer for Sunderland and top goal scorer for Villa.
Yeah.
Is that the first time that happened? Surely in the Premier League season. Someone's been top goal scorer with 2 clubs in one season. Unbelievable.
It's honestly, it was crazy because that first half of the season for Sunderland, I was flying, scoring goals for fun. And to be fair, it was a weird one because I had no intentions of really leaving Sunderland. Like, obviously, I loved it there. I loved living up north. Listen, the Sunderland fans treated me like a god. Do you know what I mean? Like, I won North East Football Writers Award, Player of the Year. The fans voted me Sunderland's Player of the Year. I won every award there was to win up there. I turned on the Christmas lights in Sunderland. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and then left a week later.
Yeah.
Someone.
Honestly, it was it was a real feeling. So when it came, obviously I'd missed out the World Cup the year before, and I'm sitting there now, and I get a phone call. I'm playing Call of Duty, and I get a phone call from my agent, and he's like, "You're right, D." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." He's like, "Yeah." So I've got something for you. Like, I don't know if you'd be interested in what, but I've just had a phone call from Aston Villa saying that they potentially want to buy her. I went, all right. I said, okay. Now this time Villa are struggling, by the way. They're like 4th or 5th from bottom.
Yeah.
Right? Even though they've got like Ashley Young, Stuart Downing, Petrov, Rio Coker, Richard Dunn, James Collins, Luke Young, Carl Walker, they're struggling. And we'd played them a week before and beat them at Villa Park 1-0. Battered them. So I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm looking at the squad. I'm looking at the way I play. And I'm looking at 2 wide men, Ashley Young, Stuart Downing. I'm thinking, that is service. You could ask for 2 better wide men than them 2.
Well,
I'm thinking, boy, all right, okay. So I'm like, all right, just find out what's going on. So I'm here playing the game, whatever. I get a phone call, and he's like, listen, Sunderland have said if Villa give them 24 million, they'll sell you. So I started laughing. And go, well, that's never ever going to happen. Yeah, so I went, that's never going to happen, right? So I said, you know what? I said, listen, it doesn't. I'm happy where I'm at anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So he's like, all right, cool, all right. And I said, anyway, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I better go. I'm going to play one more game of this. I'm going training tomorrow, so I'm going to go sleep. So I'm going to go put the film on or whatever. He went, all right, cool. Put the phone down. Play Call of Duty now. 25 minutes later or something, phone goes again. It's Neil, my agent. Like, what's he want now? I go, you're right. He's like, D, you're never going to believe this. Villa said they'll pay the 24 million pounds. I went, what? He went, yeah, they said, yeah, they pay it. Not a problem, they'll pay it. So then now, obviously, within the space of an hour, it's getting real. Like, obviously, it's getting like, I'm thinking, oh, bloody hell. Okay. So then for the next couple of days now, it's back and forth between the clubs, right? Between the clubs, back and forth. We've got a derby on the Sunday against Newcastle. So obviously, I know this is all going on. So basically, they did the deal, the 2 clubs, the 2 owners, and the plan was after that game, get in my car straight after that game, drive to Birmingham, do my medical, sign for Villa, right? They weren't going to release it until obviously I got down there because it'd be uproar. Do you know what I mean? Me leaving Sunderland, do you know what I mean?
Human.
So obviously, and Steve Bruce didn't know about it either. So it was a little bit naughty, right? So anyway, now we played the game, we drew 1-1. Anyway, what made it a little bit obvious was that Noel Quinn, who was the chairman, and the owner, Ellis Short, come to the changing room. These guys never come into the changing room. So anyway, they walk into the changing room, I'm sitting there, and they both got shirts. So they both come up to me and go, "Hi, D, you're right. Like, can you sign this shirt for me?" Like,
Yeah.
So as I'm signing it, I'm looking out the corner of my eye, and I can see Steve Bruce looking like going,
And what's going on here?
he's like, what is going on here? Like, he's thinking, what's going on here? So anyway, I sign their shirt, and they kind of walk out. Anyway, when they walk out now, I quickly jump in the shower, fast, get all my stuff, like shower, get ready to go. Anyway, obviously, Steve Bruce then like goes out with the owners and that. I quickly get my stuff ready. I walk up the stairs. I said to my dad used to wait in this little room at the top. I said to my dad, we need to go now. Like, it's about to go off. So I said, we need to go now.
Get out quick.
We need to get out. As I get to the top of the stairs now, about to leave, the fitness instructor comes to run up the stairs. D, the gaffer wants to see you.
Oh, no. No, that's all you need to hear.
I went, oh, no. I went, all right. I said, Dad, listen. I said, I'll meet you in the car. I go back downstairs now. And behind our changing room was an indoor warm-up bit. So the gaffer's in there. I walk in there. His face is red raw. Like, he is absolutely livid.
It's red at the best of times as well, isn't it?
Yeah. He's livid. He said to me, "What's going on then?" I said, "Well, Gaffer, I think it looks like I'm going to be going to Villa." He went, "What?" He's like, "Why are you going to Villa?" He goes, "Players that are," because at the time in charge was Gerard Houllier. He was like, "Players don't even like playing for Gerard. They all want to leave there. What are you going there for? Like, you're better than that." I've been on the phone to Kenny Dalglish like last couple of weeks. He wants to bring you to Liverpool. He tried that one. He wants you to come to Liverpool. I've asked Fergie. He really rates you. He spoke about you going to United and all this stuff here, right? So anyway, he's honestly, he's living. He's like, D, I can't let you go. He's like, I can't let you go. Like, I can't let you go to Villa. Like, he goes, at the end of the season, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it. But he's like, I can't let you go. I'm like, so he goes, listen, D, take as long as you want off. Take 2 days off, take a week off, think about it, then just call me and we'll go from there. I went, all right, boss, no worries. Obviously, from there, I went upstairs, got in my car, drove straight to Birmingham, right? Obviously, did the deal. I mean, I did the deal, but it was a bit of a killer because obviously, listen, when I think about it now, I get it. Like, they made me, when I got there and I was about to sign, they made me hand the transfer request in. I didn't want to, but they said the only way this deal gets across the line is by me handing a transfer request in. Right. So obviously that's why now there's such bad blood between me and the Sunderland fans.
And Sunderland, yeah. So why are you so desperate to go Villa?
Do you know what? It wasn't that I was going to Villa, but then I looked at the squad and I just thought to myself. Plus, I was back closer to home as well, closer to my dad. Do you know what I mean? So Birmingham's not that far away from where I grew up and that. So it was like, you know what? All right. And Villa's a big club. It was a big club as well, and Sunderland's a big club. But I just looked at the team sheets. And I thought, you know what? Well, like, I was at Sunderland at the time, and we were fifth in the Premier League, fifth. But I knew that we wasn't going to stay there. It wasn't going to last. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just felt right at the time, which is why I did it.
Yeah, some taste in that Villa team. You know, was it Kyle Walker, Abonglahor, yourself?
Yeah.
Did you have races Ashley Young? Did you have races in training? Who used to win? Who was rapid?
Nah, I mean, it would have been a good race between Kyle and Gabby because them two were quick.
Rapid, yeah?
Yeah, between Gabby and Bonglahor and Kyle Walker, them two were rapid, man. All speed.
Who's the quickest player you play with, you reckon?
Dennis Romerdal, by easy.
Oh, yeah, Romerdal. Just running straight lines. Right wing, wasn't it? Right wing, straight lines.
Yeah.
Back to moves. So Brucey's fuming with you. Did he not speak to you, or did you proper fall out, or?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I understood that he didn't want to. Like, he felt like I let him down, which I get. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I understand that why I think that. Do you know what I mean? And I fully understand it. But as I said, I've said to him before, like, I mean, I apologise because I did kind of leave him in the lurch when I left. But at the time, I think what kind of hurt me a little bit as well at the start of that season was that, like, obviously I had that great first season. And they go and sign. Obviously, they bring. I know they can't rely on one striker because if I got injured, what have they done? But they went and brought in Danny Welbeck, and then they brought in Assam Abidjan, who had a brilliant World Cup.
Yeah,
I remember thinking, I understand, but listen, I know I'm the first choice striker. I know I'm going to play, but these guys have got to get game time at some stage. Do you know what I mean? So the minutes that I would have accumulated, these guys at some stage would have got the minutes. So that kind of affected me a little bit, I think, that season.
Yeah. So she's still scoring goals at Villa, but at one point you found yourself out of the team. Was that because of change of management, or what happened there?
At Villa?
Yeah.
I had a big falling out with Paul Lambert.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So basically, obviously, I played at the end of that first season, flying. Arguably, probably that small period there, about 3 months, the best I've ever played. Like, as in, like, everything would come together, scoring goals, hold up play, playing, like, do you know what I mean? Like, generally playing really, really well.
Felt good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next season, start of the season, on fire again. I think I'm on about 10 goals before Christmas. Get injured, miss the rest of that season. Alex McLeish gets the sack, and then Lambert comes in. Now, he came in, I was captain, things were good. We didn't start off the best, but then he brought Benteke in, and Benteke started flying. And fair to him, listen, I've always said, if someone comes in and is scoring goals, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? He deserves to play. Fair enough. But he was looking for an excuse to get me out of the team, and he tried to get me out of the club, and he just had a big falling out to the point. Obviously, at the end, it just ended really, really badly at Villa.
Yeah. Is that one? Do you regret the way you departed Villa and the way you left it? Do you regret that?
I don't regret the way I left it, because like Lambert, like, me and him just didn't see eye to eye. The way he tried to treat me like I was a young kid, like I hadn't played for England. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hadn't really seen it. Do you know what I mean? He tried to treat me like a young kid. So I would say for Aston Villa, the worst thing they could have done was sack Alex McLeish, because I get it, because he was a Birmingham City manager.
Okay.
Villa fans, they couldn't get their heads around it.
Didn't take to him, no.
Didn't take to him, no.
What was he like as a manager? Was he good? I've heard a few stories people up in Scotland, because he's obviously a Rangers manager and stuff, that really liked him as a boss.
He was a good guy, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? He just told you straight down the middle. He had good methods, good coaching staff around him. And I really enjoyed it. And as I said, it was a killer, because I got injured and missed the whole second half of the season. So, do you know what I mean? That did him no favours at all.
No. So, yeah, you departed Villa. You joined Fulham, season-long loan.
Yeah.
Bit of a disruptive season. I think they had three managers in about 8 months. How did that affect you as a player?
Do you know what? And I'll tell you this, like, I only told this story, I think, the other day off air. But I'll tell it to you. I'll give you an exclusive. So basically, at the end of that previous season, where Lambert kind of froze me out, Alan Pardew calls me. He's Newcastle United manager at the time. He says, right, D, I want to meet you because I want you to come to Newcastle. So the following week after the season finishes, I go to my agent's house. Pardew's there. We talk about how he sees me, because I'd worked with him at Charlton. He wants me to come to Newcastle. He wants me to play a certain way. He knows I'll succeed there. He knows I've still got loads to give and score loads of goals. He doesn't quite understand why Lambert's going this approach, but he said for him, it benefits Newcastle. So he wanted me to go to Newcastle. Ian Holloway was on my case. He was Crystal Palace manager at the time. Wanted me to be their number one signing. Pretty much offered me anything to go there, right? And then there was Fulham on loan, right? So now I remember Alan Pardew had the jump on everybody. I met him from the season before, end of the season before. So I come back from pre-season now. I'm still at Villa. Lambert's moved about 6 or 7 of us into another changing room. We're not with the first team now. We're just training at the side of a pitch. The balls are flat. Like, basically treat us like we done something wrong, but we hadn't. So I'm on the phone to my agent all the time saying, every day, well, I need to get out of it. I need to go and do a full pre-season somewhere.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, don't worry. So we're on the phone to Pardew. Like, we can't get hold of Pardew. Ian Holloway's still pushing it. But I'm looking at Fulham as well, and I'm thinking, right. Anyway, now it got to a point where I didn't hear nothing from Newcastle. So I'm on the way down. Martin phones me up and like, Darren, come to Fulham, because we're a good club. We've got good players here. You'll play and all this. So I'm like, all right. So anyway, it comes to the day now. I'm going to Fulham. I'm going to medical. Pardew gets on the phone. Finally, what are you doing? I said, well, I've been waiting for you for months.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, don't go to Fulham. Get on the plane now. we've got 3 years for you. I went, well, if I'm going back up there, I want to sign for 4. He said, well, I don't know if Mike Ashley's going to go for that because you're coming up to 30 as well. He doesn't really want to do that. I said, okay, that's fair enough, but I'm here now at Fulham. Then Ian Holloway's on the phone saying, listen, we'll give you the 4 years. We don't care at Palace. We'll give you the 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm pulled up at the end of we're driving down the motorway towards Fulham's training ground, and Pardew calls up and like, listen, just pull the car over. We pull the car over, and he's like, listen, Newcastle. Pardew goes to me on the side of the road. Listen, we'll give you the 4 years. Take the 4 years, turn the car around, go to the airport, come up here, let's get the deal done. So I'm sitting there thinking, bloody hell. Like, obviously, Fulham's training ground's about 100 yards away. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? So anyway, I said, oh, no, I can't bother. I'll go to Fulham now, get there, do my medical and that, all passed, sit in the office now, the hotel reception where I'm about to sign. Pardew, like, Neil goes, listen, before we sign D, just come over here quickly. I've got to speak to you. I'm like, all right, he's my agent. He's like, listen, you've got 4.5 year contract or 5 year contract at Palace here. You've got 4 years on the table from Newcastle. Do you want to? What do you want to do? Or we've got this one at Fulham now, which is a year's loan, which they think will make. Like, they're like 90% sure they'll make permanent in January. What do you want to do? So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, worth it. And I kept saying to Neil, can they not do permanent now? They were like, no. But they'll definitely do it in January. So I'm like, 4 years from there, Newcastle, 5 years from Palace, years loan. But then they're saying, so I went, now we're here now, let's just do it. And it's the only regret in football that I've got, that I didn't take the 4 years at Newcastle or the 5 years at Palace.
Yeah.
Because then we got off to a really bad start that season. I rarely played because Berbatov was playing. I played a little bit, got off to a bad start. Then Martin Yole gets the chop. Rennie Murstein comes in. We can't quite see eye to eye. He doesn't really rate me as much as he did. He gets the sack. They bring in Felix Magath, and it just goes from bad to worse. I don't get the permanent contract. We get relegated, and it's the one regret that I've got. The only one regret in football I've ever got was that, because I had 4 years there.
4 years, 5 years in Palace on the table. Oh no, absolute nightmare. And then you mentioned there Felix Magath. I've heard a few stories about him. He's a bit of a character, wasn't he? How was he?
You know what? He just wasn't what Fulham needed at that particular time. Like, when he got the job, they shouldn't have given it to Rennie Murstein at the time, because we know that he was a coach at United and he won all these trophies. But it's a different proposition when you're a coach to being a manager. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very different. So, and at the time, they brought in Alan Kirbysley to kind of oversee everything. So what they should have done was, when they let Martin Yole go, they should have given Kirbysley the job, and he would have probably seen us over the line and then moving forward. But they didn't give him the job. They gave it to Rennie. Then they gave it to Felix Magath, and Felix Magath just wasn't the right fit. We had a lot of senior players in the squad, and he just didn't get what was going on. So it was the complete wrong decision. And as I said, that whole season there was just terrible. Yeah.
Any stories about Felix Magath? His weird doings? Did he keep you in like at nights and stuff, or get you in on Sundays, or he was just unorthodox, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, there was a few things like where we played the day before, and if we hadn't played well, you'd have us in on a Sunday. Obviously, it's like you play 90 minutes on a Sunday, you're going to cool down on a Sunday. So we'd go out. There's one particular day we'd go out. Obviously, it was Sunday, we're going for a cool down. So we get the balls out, we start having a knock around, and he came up one day and goes, oh, what are you guys doing with the footballs? And we're like, oh, getting ready for training. He's like, oh no, you didn't want to play with the football yesterday. You didn't want to pass it yesterday. So you didn't want to do it yesterday. So you're not going to do it today. So you can just run. So he'd make us do proper fart licks around the training ground and stuff.
On a Sunday, without the ball.
without the ball. just running. Just absolutely running, yeah.
Jesus. Nightmare.
So it was a bit of a tyrant, but as I said, that whole season there from start to finish was just awful.
Awful.
The only good thing about it was that I was living in London. I was close to my family, and that was the only good thing.
Yeah. Could have that 4 year deal at Newcastle.
Or 5 years at Palace. Which was down the road.
It's back to London. Oh, never mind, mate. Yeah. Hindsight, isn't it? Hindsight. But that Fulham squad though. You said like you looked at the squad and like, I've written down here: Hangeland, Risa, Sidwell, Duff, Rodega, Scott Parker, Dempsey, Berbatov, Adel Taarabt. What was Adel Taarabt like? He's magician with the ball, but absolute maverick, wasn't
he? Yeah, with the ball you can get it off him, but he couldn't find a place for him in the team, because he just didn't know where to play him, because defensive duties he wouldn't do it. Like, do you know what I mean? There was no discipline there. So it was hard for him. But listen, as far as a guy goes, he was a great guy. Absolutely.
Is he?
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Top man, yeah.
Yeah. You play with him at Spurs as well, do you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, same kind of situation. Martin Yole signed us both again, and that's why I think to myself again this season. Martin Yole signed me for Spurs and didn't play me. So why would he? Do you know what I mean? So he got me again, got to Fulham and didn't play me again.
Doing it on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's going on here?
Listen, it'll probably be the Talk Sport boss soon. Talk Sport boss soon.
He went, not giving any gigs.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so obviously that Fulham loan and the move didn't work out. And then you go to Derby. Remember Derby? Derby had the bad hamstring injury in 2017, I think. Do you feel like you ever recovered after that, or was that like the start of like your sharpness and stuff?
Do you know what? Like it was one of them where I felt really good pre-season, was playing really well. I took a penalty in a pre-season game, and I played Paul Vell, and I ripped all the ligaments in the side of my knee just taking a penalty. And Gary Rowett was in charge, and I knew I was flying, like, because I was playing really well, scoring goals in pre-season, doing really well. And so I knew I'd have been playing. But by the time, I missed the first 4. I didn't come back till January. And by that point, they were flying Derby. They were like second or first in the league, in and out of the playoffs. And it was just kind of like, well, I remember having a conversation with Gary Rowett, and I remember him saying, listen, D, like, I can't get you back in because the team's flying. And that's obviously when I need to go and play football. So I went to Burton with Nigel Clough. And obviously it took me a while to get my fitness, and they go down. And it was just the case from there. After that season, it was like, well, what do I do? Because I could have stayed on. I could have stayed on and gone to maybe a couple of other championship sides. I felt in my head I was still good enough to play in the Premier League, but it wasn't happening at that present time. It was kind of like the Premier League had kind of gave up on me, like, oh no. I felt I could have played in the Championship or League, and I wasn't going to go to League One. I wasn't going to do that. So I made a decision. Do I go to one of these lesser Championship sides and have a tough season where I can't quite do the same things I used to be able to do? Do you know what I mean? With my body, because I'm getting older.
Yep.
Or do I start pursuing down the media side? And I just made a conscious decision to do the media side, and to be fair, touch wood, it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, haven't looked back. Yeah. I just want to touch on that. Obviously, you got the injury and stuff, and you're in and out of the team. You started doing the media work. It obviously made your decision easier going forward to retire in 2019.
It was tough. I mean, at first it was still a little bit, do I do that? Do I not? And even now, listen, we all do it. We watch games on TV. We look at someone who's playing in our position and we go, I'm better than him. Even now.
Get me on. Yeah. I can still do a job.
Yeah, exactly. I can still do a job. I can still do that. But listen, what the mind thinks, the body sometimes just can't do.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
But I do think to myself now that I know for a fact I've made the right decision, because obviously I've made good strides in the media. But not only that, every footballer that I know now that's come out of football and now looking for something to do, all just think that the media side's the easy stuff to do. They go, well, you know what? I can do that. Yeah. Which is obviously why now I think I came out at a time just as it was becoming a bit popular. Yeah. So I'd already put in the door. So now when people are like, oh, I want to do something in the media, unfortunately, just like coaching, there's not that many jobs that are about. Not regular work anyway.
Yeah. You've been lucky, that you like you said, you had the foot in the door and you got in at the right time, and
exactly,
and doing a good job. All right, mate. Cheers, Darren. Thanks for your great insight into your career, and absolutely amazing career you've had, mate. Obviously, we played together when we were kids, and it's just amazing to see you go on and score those goals and play for England, mate. And as one of your friends, I was just proud to see you put on that English shirt, mate. Brilliant. You've had a great career, and thanks for taking time out to speak to me, mate.
No worries at all, man. Anytime.
Cheers, mate. Speak soon.